morning, students. Today we are going to see self-induction. So first of all, we should see what are inductors. So inductors are nothing but they are the devices which store magnetic energy when current is allowed to pass through them. So inductors are the devices which store magnetic energy when current is allowed to pass through them. Example for inductors are coil, solenoid, toroid. So these are the example for inductors. So now we are going to see self-induction. What is called self-induction? Self-induction is nothing but it is the property of inductors to produce opposing EMF when current through them is allowed to pass. So when we allow current to pass through the inductors, they will produce opposing EMF. This property of producing opposing EMF in inductors when current is allowed to pass through them is called as self-induction. So now we are going to see in detail. So let us consider a solenoid or a coil. Let I be the current passes through this solenoid. So when current is allowed to pass through it, we know there is magnetic field. It is capable of producing uniform magnetic field inside the solenoid. So the magnetic field produced by this solenoid is given by B is equal to mu naught into Ni. So where mu naught is the permeability of free space or vacuum, N is the number of turns per unit length, and I is the current. So when current is allowed to pass through a solenoid, it will produce magnetic field. So when magnetic field is produced by the solenoid, ultimately there is magnetic flux. So magnetic flux depends upon C, mu naught N or constant I. So when current changes, magnetic flux through the coil changes. When magnetic flux through the coil changes, it is capable of producing induced EMF. So flux per turn of the solenoid is given by pi P. So pi P is directly proportional to I. So when I increase the current through the coil, it will ultimately increase the magnetic field. When magnetic field increases, magnetic flux will increase. So the magnetic flux linked with the coil is directly proportional to the current passing through the coil. Or you can say this is flux per turn. So if this coil is having N turns, then flux linkage is given by flux linkage is equal to N into pi B. So N into pi B is directly proportional to I, or N into pi B is equal to Li. This L, constant of proportionality, is called as coefficient of self-induction or self-inductance. So from this equation, the coefficient of self-induction of the coil is given by L is equal to N pi B by I. So this equation helps us to define coefficient of self-induction. So the coefficient of self-induction is equal to flux linkage associated with the coil to the current that passes through the coil. So coefficient of self-induction is equal to the ratio of the flux linkage to the current passing through the coil. When I is equal to 1 ampere, when 1 ampere current passes through that coil, then the coefficient of self-induction or simply self-inductance is equal to the flux linkage. So we can define self-induction, coefficient of self-induction in this way also. When 1 ampere current passes through the coil, then the coefficient of self-inductance is equal to the flux linkage. Or I can say self-inductance of a coil is numerically equal to means flux linkage measures only the number of magnetic field lines. So I can say self-inductance of a coil is numerically equal to the flux linkage of the coil when 1 ampere of current passes through the coil. So this expression tells that pi b is directly proportional to I. So the self-inductance of a coil can also be expressed in terms of induced EMF. When current slightly changes with the coil, it will produce a change in the magnetic flux. Whenever magnetic flux linked with the coil changes, as per Faraday, an EMF is induced. So the induced EMF is given by E is equal to minus dN pi d by dt. So induced EMF is equal to rate of change of magnetic flux. This negative sign is the significance of the Lenz law. But we know N pi b is equal to Li. So substituting this value, the induced EMF is given by E is equal to minus d by dt of Li. Or induced EMF is equal to minus L into di by dt. Or L is equal to minus E by di by dt. So this equation helps us to define self-inductance in terms of induced EMF. So self-inductance of a coil is equal to the ratio of opposing EMF induced in the coil to the rate of change of current through the coil. So this is rate of change of current. This is opposing EMF. This is self-inductance. Our self-inductance is equal to the ratio of opposing EMF to the rate of change of current in the coil. Or from this equation, if the rate of change of current in the coil is 1 ampere per second, so 1 ampere per second, then the self-inductance is equal to the opposing EMF. So this equation also helps us to define self-inductance. Self-inductance is equal to the opposing EMF induced in the coil when the rate of change of current in the coil is 1 ampere per second. So we can define self-inductance in different ways, in terms of flux linkage, in terms of induced EMF. From this expression also we can obtain the unit of self-inductance. So what is self-inductance here? It is the ratio of flux linkage to the ampere current. So flux linkage is measured in Weber, current is measured in ampere. So this equation tells that the unit of self-inductance is Weber per ampere. So Weber per ampere is the unit of self-inductance. This equation is in terms of induced EMF. So induced EMF is measured in terms of volts. So volts by rate of change of current is ampere per second. Ampere per second. So from this equation I can say the unit of self-inductance is voltage. Second will come to the numerator, second per ampere. So this is the unit for self-inductance of a coil. So this is how we can obtain expression for self-inductance, and we can obtain self-inductance in terms of induced EMF, self-inductance in terms of flux linkage. Next we are going to see what is the significance of self-induction. So in the accordance we have seen self-inductance in two different forms. This is in the form of flux linkage, this is in the form of opposing EMF. As per this equation, unit is Weber per ampere. According to this equation, the unit of self-inductance is volts second per ampere. Now, usually the self-inductance is measured in terms of Henry. So Henry is the practical unit for self-inductance. So we are going to define this Henry. We are going to define this Henry from these two equations. Now, according to this equation, first equation, when this change in the flux is 1 Weber, so N pi B is equal to 1 Weber and current I is equal to 1 ampere, then this L is equal to 1 Henry. So when L is equal to 1 Henry, when the flux linkage is 1 Weber and current is 1 ampere, the self-inductance is 1 Henry. So Henry is defined as the self-inductance of a coil. When 1 ampere current passes through the coil, produces a flux linkage of 1 Weber. So Henry is defined as the self-inductance of a coil. When 1 ampere current flows through the coil, produces a flux linkage of 1 Weber. Or I can say 1 unit of current produces 1 unit of magnetic flux, then the self-inductance of the coil is said to be 1 Henry. Again I repeat, 1 ampere of current produces a flux linkage of 1 Weber, then the self-inductance of the coil is said to be 1 Henry. In a similar way, as per the second equation, when the opposing EMF is equal to 1 volt and the rate of change of current is equal to 1 ampere per second, 1 ampere per second, then self-inductance of a coil is said to be 1 Henry. So, Henry is defined as self-inductance of a coil when the rate of change of current in the coil is 1 ampere per second, produces an opposing EMF of 1 volt. Again I repeat, the self-inductance of a coil is said to be 1 Henry. When the rate of change of current through the coil is 1 ampere per second, produces an opposing EMF of 1 volt. So these are the two ways in which we can give definition for Henry or definition for unit self-inductance of a coil. So next we are going to see what is the significance of this self-induction. What is the significance of this self-induction? So already we have seen in linear motion, In linear motion, we see the property of inertia. So what is called inertia? The inability of a body to change its state of rest or uniform motion along a straight line is called inertia. So this is as per Newton's first law. So inertia of a body is directly proportional to the mass. So mass determines the value of inertia. If a mass of a body is small, inertia of a body is also small. If the mass of a body is large, then the body will have large inertia. Similarly, in rotational motion, we come across moment of inertia. So this rotational inertia depends upon the moment of inertia of a body. So in translational motion, mass of the body determines the inertia of a body. In rotational motion, moment of inertia determines the rotational inertia of the body. In a similar way, this self-inductance or inductance defines the inability of that circuit to change current in the circuit. So this induction plays the same role as mass and moment of inertia. So this inductance, as mass and moment of inertia, opposes the change of the state in translatory motion and rotational motion. In a similar way, this induction opposes the change that occurs in the electrical circuit. So, when current is built up in the circuit, suppose I am having a coil, inductor coil, I am allowing current to flow through the coil. So, when current is built up in the coil, goes on increasing in the coil, then what will happen? This opposing EMF will produces induction, that is property of a inductor to produce an opposing EMF. This opposing EMF tries to stop the build-up of current. So building current. So whenever current is built up in the circuit, the induced EMF opposes that. And similarly, when the circuit is breakdown, then what will happen? The current will decrease. At that time, the induced EMF will produces an opposing EMF that opposes the change, decrease in the current in the coil. So, this induction plays the same role as mass and moment of inertia, which opposes the change in the translatory motion and rotational motion. In translatory motion, the mass opposes the change, that is called inertia. And similarly, in rotational motion, moment of inertia opposes the change. In a similar way, in an electrical circuit, the induction opposes the growth of current or decay of current in the circuit. So this is how induction plays a vital role in an electrical circuit. Students, in this section we are going to see self-induction of a long solenoid. So I am having a solenoid of length L. So it is a solenoid of length L. Let N be the total number of turns in the solenoid. Let A be the area of cross section. So it is cross-sectional area. So if I take one winding of the solenoid, that area is A. So in this solenoid, let I be the current that flows through the solenoid. So when current I that flows through the solenoid, what will happen? Due to the flow of the current through the solenoid, magnetic field is produced. So magnetic field due to the current flow that flows in the solenoid is given by B is equal to mu naught into Ni. Already we have derived it. Mu naught is the permeability of free space or vacuum. N is the number density or number of turns per unit length. So the total turns is N. So N is equal to N by L. So this is small n. And I is the current through the solenoid. So due to this magnetic field, there is uniform magnetic field inside the solenoid. So inside the solenoid, it will have uniform magnetic field. Because of the uniform magnetic field, magnetic flux is linked with every turn of the solenoid. So magnetic flux linked with one turn of the solenoid is given by integral B dot dA. That is equal to integral B dA into cos theta. Here theta is equal to 0 degree. So what is theta here? It is the angle between magnetic field and areal vector. So magnetic field is passing along the axis of the solenoid. So if I have area here, I have to draw a normal. So normal is perpendicular to the area. This direction represents the areal vector. So angle between magnetic field and normal drawn to the area is theta, 0 degree. So when I substitute it, I will have B dot A. So this is the flux linked with single turn of the solenoid. In this solenoid I am having N turns. So we will have capital N. So we will have N into pi B. N into pi B is equal to N into pi B is equal to N into BA. But what is N? Capital N is equal to NL. Substituting that value, we will have NL. B is mu naught into Ni into A, area. So we will have mu naught N into N, N square, I, A into L. So this is the flux linkage with the solenoid. So already we have seen that L is equal to N into pi B by I. So substituting that value, we will have the coefficient of self-induction of this solenoid is given by mu naught N square I A L by I. This I and I gets cancelled. So L is equal to mu naught N square A L. This is the self-inductance of a long solenoid. So when you see this expression, mu naught is the permeability of free space or vacuum, N square is the number of turns per unit length, and A is the area of cross section L. So self-inductance of a long solenoid depends upon number of turns per unit length, area of cross section, and length of the solenoid, and the permeability of the medium in which it is placed. Suppose if this solenoid is kept in a medium of permeability mu, at that time we will have L is equal to mu into N square AL, where mu is equal to mu naught into mu or N square AL. So this is how we can find the self-inductance of a long solenoid. Self-inductance of a long solenoid. So already we have seen that when a current is allowed to pass through a solenoid, what will happen? Magnetic field is produced. When the current through the solenoid changes, magnetic field changes. Because of the change in the magnetic field, there will be change in the magnetic flux. As per Faraday law, due to this change in the magnetic flux, an opposing EMF is induced. So this induced EMF in this solenoid is given by epsilon. Here it is represented as epsilon. So epsilon represents the induced EMF. So induced EMF is given by L into di by dt, of course with a negative sign. So what is the work of this induced EMF? This induced EMF opposes the change. So it opposes the increasing in the current in the solenoid or decreasing the current in the solenoid. So whenever current is increasing, it opposes the increase in the current. When the circuit is breakdown, then what will happen? The current will decrease. At that time, the induced EMF will opposes the decrease in the current. So the function of the EMF is to oppose the change. So the induced EMF in this solenoid is given by minus L into di by dt. So the function of this induced EMF is to oppose the change. So in order to build the current in the circuit, suppose I am forming the circuit. So when I am breaking the circuit, current will decrease. When I form the circuit, the current will increase. So this induced EMF opposes the increase in the current. So to establish current in the circuit, I have to do work to move the charge to build up the current. So because current is defined as the rate of flow of charge. So I have to do work to take additional current in the circuit. So this work done in moving certain amount of charge in certain time is stored as magnetic energy in the coil. So once again I repeat, when current in the coil changes, so now you are considering current is increasing in the coil. This increase in the current is opposed by the induced EMF. So in order to increase the current, I have to do work. This work, what I am doing to increase the current in the coil is stored as magnetic energy. So to increase the current, what I have to do? I have to take some additional charge. Already charge is flowing. So if dq is the additional charge, now I am increasing in the circuit. So this dq amount of charge, when I increase, then only the current will increase. So I have to take this dq amount of charge from one place to another in a certain time. So this work done is stored as magnetic potential energy. So let dW be the small amount of work done in moving dq charge through a small distance in a time dt. So I have to do work. So work done is nothing but it is the product of work done is equal to product of potential into charge. Power is equal to potential into current. So these are the two formulas. Work done is equal to potential into charge. Power is equal to potential into current. So I am doing work done. So what I am doing work done? Small amount of work done. Small amount of work is done in moving a small amount of charge in a small interval of time. So small amount of work done is equal to V potential into dq. So what is this V? V is nothing but opposing EMF. So in this case we have to write opposing EMF into dq. Since we are doing this work against the induced EMF and work done are opposite. So we have to include a negative sign. So substituting these values, the small amount of work done is equal to minus into epsilon minus L into di by dt into dq. So this will give L into dq by dt into di. That is dw is equal to L dq by dt is I. Rate of change of current is, rate of flow of charge is current. So Li into di. So what is the total work done? So total work done to increase the current is given by W is equal to integral dW. Integral dW. Initially the current through the coil is 0. Let I be the maximum current. So we will have W is equal to integral L into di, I into di. So integrating, we will have W is equal to L I square by 2 between the limits 0 to I. So W is equal to L I square by 2. This work done is stored as magnetic potential energy. So magnetic potential energy is given by UB. UB is equal to W. That is UB is equal to L I square by 2. So this is the potential energy of an inductor. Potential energy of an inductor. But you know, this L is given by L is equal to, that is UB is equal, substituting the value of L, mu naught N square A L by 2. This is the value of L into I square. So this is the magnetic potential energy. So now we are going to see potential energy per unit volume, energy density. Energy density is given by potential energy by volume. So what will you have? You will have mu naught N square AL into I square by 2 into AL, because volume of this inductor, area of cross section is A, length is L, so volume is equal to AL. When you cut this, you will have this energy density is represented by UB. UB is equal to mu naught N square I square by 2. So now multiplying and dividing by mu naught square. This UB is equal to mu naught square N square I square by 2 mu naught. Mu naught Ni is equal to magnetic field produced in the solenoid. So energy density is given by B square by 2 mu naught. This is the energy density of a solenoid or an inductor. So this is how we can determine energy density. Students, next we are going to see mutual induction. So what is called mutual induction? Students, next we are going to see mutual inductance. So what is called mutual induction? So we are having two coils. Coil 1, this is coil 2. Coil 1, coil 2, they are kept very close to each other. Now, current I1 is allowed to flow through the coil 1. Due to the flow of current, magnetic field is produced in the coil. So, the magnetic flux produced by the coil 1 is also linked with the coil 2. So, I am allowing current to pass through coil 1. When current is allowed to flow through coil 1, it produces magnetic field. This magnetic field produces magnetic flux. So in this region there is presence of magnetic flux. So magnetic flux is also linked with the coil 2. When current changes in coil 1, it produces change in the flux. So the flux linked with the coil 2 also changes. Because of that, an EMF is induced in the coil 2. So this property of producing an opposing EMF in one coil, when current through the neighboring coil changes, is called as mutual induction. So this property of producing induced EMF in one coil, when current through the neighboring coil changes, this is called as mutual induction. In a similar way, if I allow current to pass through coil 2, it will produce magnetic flux. When current through coil 2 changes, an opposing EMF is induced in coil 1. So, this property of a given pair of inductors to produce opposing EMF in one when current through the neighboring changes, it is called as mutual induction. Let us now consider pi 2 be the flux linked with the second coil. So every turn of the second coil is linked with pi 2. This pi 2 flux is due to the current flows in coil 1. So I call it as pi 2 1 is the flux linked with every turn of the coil 2. So this flux linkage is given by N2 into pi 2 1. This flux linkage is directly proportional to I1 or N2 into pi 2 1 is equal to M into I1. Or you can say this constant of proportionality M is called as coefficient of mutual induction. So coefficient of mutual induction is equal to the ratio of flux linkage linked with one coil to the current through the neighboring coil. So this explains the definition of mutual induction. Mutual inductance of a given pair of coil is equal to the ratio of flux linkage in one coil to the current through the neighboring coil. In a similar way, if pi 1 2 is the flux linkage linked with the every turn of the first coil due to the flow of current I2 in the second coil. Therefore, the flux linkage is given by N1 into pi 1 2 is directly proportional to I2, or flux linked with the first coil is equal to a constant M into current through the second coil, or this is the mutual inductance of the second coil with respect to the first coil. So we can add a suffix M21. Here it is the mutual induction of the first coil with respect to the second coil. So M12 is equal to N1 into pi 1 2 by I2. So mutual inductance of the first coil with respect to the second coil is equal to the ratio of the flux linkage of the first coil to the current through the second coil. Here, the mutual inductance of the second coil with respect to the first coil is equal to the ratio of the flux linkage of the second coil to the current through the first coil. When I1 is equal to 1 ampere and I2 is equal to 1 ampere, then mutual inductance is given by M21 is equal to N2 into pi 2 1. So the mutual inductance of the second coil with respect to the first coil is numerically equal to the flux linkage of the second coil, and current to the first coil is 1 ampere. Similarly, mutual inductance of the first coil with respect to the second coil is equal to flux linkage of the first coil when current through the second coil is 1 ampere. So we can also define mutual inductance in terms of induced EMF. So due to the change in the magnetic flux, an EMF is induced in the second coil. The induced EMF in the second coil is given by E is equal to minus d n pi 2 by dt. Or I can say, I write it here, E2 is equal to minus d by dt of this n2 into pi 2 1 is equal to m2 1 into I1. So m2 1 into I1, or E2 is equal to minus m2 into d m21 into di1 by dt, or m21 is equal to minus E2 by di1 by dt. So mutual induction of the second coil with respect to the first coil is equal to the ratio of induced EMF in the second coil to the rate of change of current in the first coil. Again, when di1 by dt is equal to 1 ampere per second, then m21 is equal to minus E2. Mutual inductance of the second coil with respect to the first coil is equal to the opposing EMF induced in the second coil when the rate of change of current in the first coil is 1 ampere per second. Again, when this opposing EMF is equal to 1 volt, then this mutual inductance is equal to 1 Henry. So mutual inductance of a given pair of coil is 1 Henry when current through one coil is, rate of change of current in one coil is 1 ampere per second, induces an opposing EMF of 1 volt. In a similar way, we can also derive for the first coil. So, when you consider first coil, for the first coil, M12, mutual inductance of the first coil with respect to the second coil is equal to N first coil, Pi12 by N2. But this N1 Pi12 is directly proportional to M12 into I1. I2. Substituting this value, you will have induced EMF in the first coil is given by E is equal to minus d by dt of N1 Pi12. This N1 Pi12 is nothing but this value. Substitute it. You will have the induced EMF in the first coil is equal to minus d by dt of M12 into I2, or induced EMF is equal to minus M12 into di2 by dt. Rearranging, M12 is equal to minus E1 by di2 by dt. So this expression helps us to define mutual inductance of the first coil with respect to the second coil. So mutual inductance of the first coil with respect to the second coil is equal to the ratio of the opposing EMF in the first coil to the rate of change of current in the second coil. When this rate of change of current is 1 ampere per second, then this equation will give M12 is equal to minus E1. So, mutual inductance of a coil, first coil with respect to the second coil is equal to the opposing EMF induced in the first coil when the rate of change of current in the second coil is 1 ampere per second. Similarly, when this will become 1 volt, we will have M12 is equal to 1 Henry. So, the mutual inductance of the first coil with respect to the second coil is 1 Henry. When the rate of change of current in the second coil is 1 ampere per second, induces an opposing EMF of 1 volt. We can show that M12 is equal to M21 is equal to M. So, this expression tells that mutual inductance of a given pair of coils. So far we have given mutual inductance of first coil with respect to the second coil. Mutual inductance of second coil with respect to the first coil. We have stated like that. So, when both are equal, we can say in general, mutual induction of a given pair of coil is equal to the ratio of the induced EMF in one coil to the rate of change of current in the neighboring coil. Henry, how we can define Henry? Henry is defined as the mutual inductance of a given pair of coil. When the rate of change of current in one coil is 1 ampere per second, induces an opposing EMF of 1 volt. In other words, I can say mutual inductance of a given pair of coil is 1 Henry. When the rate of change of current in one coil is 1 ampere per second, induces an opposing EMF of 1 volt. This is how we can explain mutual induction. So in the next part, what we are going to see, mutual inductance of a pair of solenoid, coaxial solenoid. So we are going to see mutual inductance of a given pair of coaxial solenoid. So we are going to see mutual inductance of a pair of coaxial solenoid. So we are having two solenoids. One is wound over the other and they are having the common axis. So let us consider the first one. We call it as the second solenoid. So it is having N2 turns, length L. This area of cross section of the single turn is A2. Over this, we are having one more solenoid. And this is having cross section A1. Let N1 be the number of turns in the solenoid. So both the solenoids are having common axis. So we are going to derive what is the mutual inductance, expression for mutual inductance. So first let us suppose the larger one. So this is coil 1, this is coil 2. It is having N1 turns, area of cross section is A1 and the smaller one is having A2. Now let I1 be the current through the largest solenoid. So I1 is the current. When current I1 flows through it, it will produce magnetic field B1. B1 is equal to mu naught into N1 into mu naught Ni I1. So this is the magnetic field produced by the larger solenoid. So in this magnetic field, the smaller one is located. So every turn of the smaller solenoid is having flux linkage. The flux linkage of the second solenoid due to the current flows in the first solenoid is given by B1 dot A2. Flux linkage for all the solenoid is given by N into, or first one is, second one is having N2 terms. So N2 into pi to 1 is equal to N2 into B1 into A2. But N2 is equal to N2 is equal to N2 into L. So substitute this value. You will have N2 into L, B1 mu naught N1 into I1 into A2. So N2 pi to 1 is equal to mu naught N1 N2 L I1 into A2. But mutual induction is given by M. This is the second solenoid. So M21 is equal to N2 into pi to 1 by I1. So substituting this, you will have mu naught N1 N2 L A2 into I1 by I1. This I1 and I1 gets cancelled. So you will have M21 is equal to mu naught N1 N2 A2 into L. This is the expression for the mutual inductance of the second solenoid with respect to the first solenoid. In a similar way, we can also obtain expression for the mutual inductance of the second one. Now, let us consider I2 be the current flows in the smaller solenoid, that is a smaller coil. So, this will produce magnetic field B2 is equal to mu naught into B2 is equal to mu naught into N2 into I2. Now, the first larger solenoid is present in the magnetic field produced by the smaller solenoid. So when you consider smaller solenoid, inside the solenoid there is magnetic field, but outside the solenoid there is no magnetic field. So magnetic field, this space are empty. So the area for the second solenoid is only A2. So flux linked with every turn of the second solenoid is given by B2 dot A2. Correct? Yes. B21. So here we have to find it for the largest solenoid. So you will have pi 1 2 is equal to B1 B2 into A2. B2 into A2. So what is this value of B2? So that will give, so N into pi 2, that is N1 into pi 1 2 is equal to N1 into B2 into A2. What is N1? N1 is equal to small n1 into L. Substituting this value, we will have N into N1 into pi 1 2 is equal to N1 into L mu naught into N2 into I2 into A2. So that is equal to mu naught N1 N2 L I2 into A2. But according to the expression for mutual inductance of the first coil with respect to the second coil is given by N1 pi12 by I2. So substituting this value, we will have N12 is equal to mu naught N1 N2 L I2 into A2 by I2 gets cancelled. So you will have M12 is equal to mu naught N1 N2 A2 into L. So when you see this equation 1 and equation 2, we can see that M21 is equal to M12. So I can generally write it as M. So this expression gives the mutual inductance of the given pair of coaxial solenoid.